up? What up? Welcome to the Crown and Stitch podcast. My name is Nick Ingval with my guys Dexter and Keith to talk about some fitteds. We're going to talk about some side patches today, some what makes them good, what makes them desirable, what takes them over the top, what makes them must-haves. So before we get into that, what's good, fellas? How you guys doing?
Yo, yo, yo. Squatchy gang in the building. White tee on.
Squatchy gang, that's right.
Ready to roll.
I wanted the black tea tonight.
That's crazy. I got this olive hoodie on, and me and Nick were pre-production. I was like, "Yo, I look like I'm like all the colors washed out on my screen." But I was like, "I think I just got this dull ass olive hoodie on. This is making everything look super dull." Because the hat looks vibrant, right?
It's making a pop. Making a pop.
This right here looks like sepia tone from like 1930s or something.
All right. So before we get into the episode, I want to read. We haven't done this yet, but we do it on the other podcast within the sneaker history community and exhaust notes and all that stuff. So we got looks like 5 ratings on Apple right now, but I'm going to start with the first one. AJ3 back in the day says, "Great start. Rumors have been flying about this podcast in the Discord for months. Glad it's finally here. It all started with the kid for me too. Looking forward to more eps." Shout out to AJ3 back in the day. Just actually had him leave a review on the Exhaust Notes podcast as well. So if you're enjoying the podcast, not only make sure you subscribe on YouTube, but leave us a review on Apple, follow us on Spotify, wherever you're taking it in. Give us some feedback. Let us know how we're doing, how we can improve, because really we want to make this something that you really, really enjoy. So appreciate all of you that have done that so far, though, and thanks for the support. We'll get into the future, more reviews in the future episodes. So if you got something interesting to tell us, that's a good spot to do it. So, where do we start? We start with what we're rocking on head right now, I think.
All right.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Go for it, Keith.
I showed this off maybe a few episodes ago. This is I don't know if you can see the corduroy twins. This was from that mystery corduroy pack. Let me see if I can get the side patch on there.
Got that
like you, Nick, it's always hard to tell what side of my head the side patch is on. I'm looking at the camera, but it's the 30th anniversary purple underbrim.
Yeah, that's dope.
Super dope.
Yep.
Corduroy.
Corduroy. Yeah, Kirby Puckett, man.
Yay.
Seriously.
Yep. How about you, Dexter?
All right, so I pulled this out last episode. This was my kicks and fits with the Jordan 1s. This is the Seattle Pilots Grape Swisher Suite. I finally got the pin in. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's a little
nice.
It's a little dude. He's high as hell. His head not even up.
Does that have a chain on it too?
Yeah, it's a chain. So like he's like a balloon. Like this is his head. He's high as hell with the chain.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
Squatchy game.
Yeah, that's dope. That's a Hat Club one, right? Yeah.
This actually was a pre-order, so it just showed up like 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Yeah, I was I saw Hat Club was talking on Twitter about pre-orders because people were asking about when are pre-orders going to come back, but still seems like the old supply chain has been struggling, so they're still just kind of making it work with how things are delivered as they are. So kind of forget because you just see so many releases that there's all this stuff going behind the scenes that it's been a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's like all the hats that they drop now, they planned like probably a year plus ago. And
yeah,
just now landing.
Yeah, totally.
Issues across seas.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, so I'm rocking the King's hat. It's basically black, little infrared, pinkish, orange. Got the let's see, 50th or sorry, yeah. What is that? 50th anniversary on the side. And then the Mitchell and Ness on the back, and then it's got the big NBA logo on the back of the head. I'm not a big fan of like the massive logo on the back, but what can you do? When the colors are right, it's just one of those things. You just overlook. You got to overlook some things sometimes because the rest of it's too good.
Got to do it.
Yeah. But all right, so this episode we want to talk specifically about side patches, and I think this is probably going to be an ongoing conversation because inevitably like new shit comes out that we all love that like we don't even think about right now. So we want to talk about some of the side patches that we really like, some of the must-haves for ourselves, but also some of the things that just make a side patch actually good, regardless of whether you're into the team or not. But I think we all kind of come as Giants fans to this conversation. So there might be some overlap in some of the patches that you see, but we can all give a little bit of our own insight as to why it's special to us. So I don't know. One of you guys want to start us off with one of them that you got?
What you got, Keith?
Let's see here. I know I pulled this hat out last episode, but this is the 59 All-Star Game Pirates. Got the
Oh,
little
that's epic.
knife in his mouth and the nice mustache. Me personally, I'm a sucker for like big side patches. Like, I want that shit to take up damn near like half the side of the head. So I don't know why I gravitate towards stuff that has big side patches and ones that are easy to color block. If you can get in a lot of different colors and the intricate details, the metallic threading, it just kind of makes it pop a little bit more for me. So I tend to lean towards the larger side patches.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm just going to jump into one of mine real quick because of that. So this is a Giants. I don't know, kind of like a Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It's basically just the year 2000 patch, right? And so I love the patch, but my beef with it is actually on this hat specifically. You can hardly read what's going on because of the metallic. Like the gold is beautiful, but you can't see that it's the inaugural year 2000 or whatever. It's really difficult to read, which I think kind of to your point, right? Like that's one thing that for me, like I want to be able to read it and I want to be able to see it, and like it's got to be very like clear to me. I know that's not the right terminology, but like, I got to be able to like look at it and be like, oh, that's what it is, kind of. And I'll get into some of my other favorites, but that's one of those things that I don't think people take into account because especially if you're into hats, you already know some of these patches, right? Like we probably all could think of patches that we have multiples of on a hat, but sometimes the colors just don't pop the right way for you to actually see the depth of that logo on the side. And for me that's like the most important part, right? Like having the like the vibrancy of it, like I don't necessarily need it to be as big, but if it's not, if it's shrunken down and you can't see it because the threading is just not fine enough, it's frustrating to me. So that's a good point to bring up.
I feel like too sometimes with like the quality of the stitching, you can tell sometimes. Like I have a couple hats where the quality of the side patch, like of the actual stitching, is not as good, and it kind of like washes out, and it's not as defined as it should be. And I feel like that definitely makes a difference too for me sometimes when I look at a side patch. Like it's just the actual craftsmanship of the hat.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So speaking of the color blocking in the hat, I'm gonna pull out this one because this is like perfect, right there. That
Oh yeah.
polo grounds right there. You can see everything. Like 1905 is a little off, but I mean I'm pretty sure. I think this is accurate to what their hats kind of looked like back in 1905. So they don't have to play around with the colors too much, but that is just fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, that's
especially when
insane.
I'm walking around and people think I have a Yankees hat or a Mets hat on. I was like, sir, you have a seat, sir. Let's talk. Teach you something.
Well, and it's funny too because like to your point with that, like it's just like it's not overcomplicated, right? Like I love the details, but like you have to be able to understand the details and like see the whole thing, right? Like that Pirates patch is the perfect example of like I would say what is like generally would be like an oversized patch, right? Like it's a little bit bigger than normal, but like the details make it to where you want it bigger. You want people to be able to see all of those little intricacies because they actually pop off really nicely because it's not too complicated. The colors don't like, you know, blend is not the right word, but sometimes, like colors, like sometimes hats look great with colors that are more are similar in palette, like where I think of like clothing wise, right? Like I'm very much like, you know, blacks, whites, and color pops, right? Like I'd rather keep it simple, but stuff like, kind of to Dexter's point, like the olive hoodie, right? And the shades of that, and some of the stuff that like, I don't know, Fear of God, Yeezy, some of those brands where they do like 10 different colors that are just slightly off. If you put all those together in an outfit, it looks super dope because you don't have little pieces. But if you put all that together in one little logo, it's almost impossible to like actually see what it's all about because there's not enough separation, and to your point with that Polo Grounds one, it just pops, right? Like everything you need to see comes right out at you from it. And I think that's like perfect. Like I don't know if you can get better than that almost. So
Seriously, like it's up there.
what else we
Are
got?
we just going to swing it back around?
Yeah, let's do it.
Speaking of Yankees, I know that wasn't the Yankees hat, Dexter, but this is another one of my favorite side patches right here.
Yeah,
That's 75th World Series.
Man, Keith wasn't joking about these oversized patches. He's
as big as they get. And the thing I like about this one too is they have that royal blue in there, and I barely ever see any hats with the royal blue undervisor, but I don't know. It's just, a little bit different than most Yankees hats, and the royal blue on the side patch and on the undervisor, it kind of, I don't know, it just makes it pop and accentuates the actual color of the side patch, especially with the gold metallic, stitching around the outside.
Yeah, that's a good touch. Good touch, definitely.
All right, so I was telling these guys before that we just talking about fitted shoes, talking about baseball because baseball is they started the hat, the cap that you wore on the field. Well, I have this Seattle Seahawks hat that has a 10-year Seahawk patch on there.
Well, that's actually a really dope logo too.
Right? You don't get to see this too often. This is, and just a nice little basic NFL shield,
Yep.
So something like that, where it's the old school logo, but 10 years just can't,
I don't think I've ever seen that side patch.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely haven't seen it, but that's super dope. I mean, it's kind of interesting because like you don't really see, like, even with this King's hat, right? Like it's pretty like that's a pretty basic NBA logo, right? It's not like special to the team.
Yeah.
I think there's, I've got a couple of those with the Sacramento Proud on the side, but like it's just text. It's nothing unique. But I'm surprised that we haven't seen more fitteds for the other leagues go down the path of like side patches and stuff, because all the leagues, at least in America, all the leagues go crazy with like the very like special patches and pins and all that stuff, all-star games and world championships and Super Bowls and all that. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, I wonder if I wonder if that has more to do with the brand that has the deal, right? Because New Era might not have the rights to make all NBA team hats, right? Like it might be very specific, kind of like this is a Mitchell and Ness hat, right? Mitchell and Ness has had, retro basketball, locked down for many, many years. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting one.
It's probably something along those lines. Yeah.
Like licensing and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Probably just doesn't have access to historical stuff like that, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe they're probably trying to negotiate it. It's like, yo, we they're killing us, man.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah.
Give us everything.
Well, and then you got like somebody like Lids coming in and just flipping everything on its lid. That was terrible, but like, sorry, I wasn't even thinking about it. But yeah, like it's they're. I hate to be so disparaging towards a company, but I feel like they are like the Walmart of jerseys and hats and like licensed sports apparel. Like they take away all the uniqueness. They make it the most kind of bland and it clearly became like just super, like everything became about the profit involved as opposed to like, let's make some quality shit. And like you see it in the jerseys. If you've ever bought a Fanatics baseball jersey, especially, or some of the NBA stuff that they've done, the quality of the stuff is just like so disappointing for what you're used to as someone who is really passionate about it. Like, a Mitchell and Ness jersey might cost you $300, but you're going to be wowed when you pick it up because it's so damn heavy and so damn nice and double stitched, triple stitched. Every detail is on point. And sometimes it's worth paying that crazy price, sometimes it's not. But like when everything that comes from a company ends up being kind of washed out and a little just disappointing, I don't know, man. I just feel like it can't be good for the direction of everything if everything keeps falling under Fanatics. But
Like if you go buy a Brandon Belt jersey right now from Fanatics, basic one, not nothing anything crazy, just a basic jersey, and then you buy a Mitchell and Ness Will Clark jersey, it's like night and day.
yep.
You can tell the
Totally.
difference for sure.
Yep. Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I'll hop into another one here. Like this one you've seen on that before, but this is the 60th anniversary. Let me fix this real quick so I can actually show you. This is the 60th anniversary for the Giants.
So
If you're from or around the Bay ever, right?
perfect.
You like that Golden Gate Bridge. Anytime you get the Golden Gate Bridge in the logo, it's, well, I take that back. Anytime other than when Nike does the Connect jerseys,
Oh,
it's
let's
a
not
good
bring those
thing. It's
up.
a great thing. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of those. Mainly because that logo that they did was very much like I don't want to say they just straight ripped it off, but it was really, really close to the stuff that Benny Gold did for years as a streetwear brand in San Francisco. So that was a little disappointing. But I think generally speaking, that 60th anniversary is probably I would say third or fourth top tier for me in terms of like side patches.
I got a question real quick before we jump into the next one. How do you guys feel about loser patches? Like, say for example, having um, like a 1999 World Series patch on a Braves hat instead of the Yankees. I know a lot of people kind of like shun that, and they don't give that much credibility to be wearing like a World Series winner or World Series side patch on the losing team's hat. Do you guys have any opinion on that at all?
One close right now. I got a bunch of losers.
Well, technically, Dexter's got you got the 89 one, right?
I have A's and Giants. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
the winners and the losers. Yeah.
I mean, I can understand where people feel on that, and like if you're a fan, right? If you're a Yankees fan in your example, hey, we won. Like that's bragging rights. We get to wear that. But at the same time, as a Giants fan who went through the heartache for many many years, I mean, shit, you got to celebrate the wins when you can, and not all the wins are World Series wins. Sometimes it's just getting there. That's a win,
Because it used to be back in the day, it was about winning the pennant. If you
Yep.
won your league, that was almost a victory in itself. Then it was like, all right, then you go on, and if you win the World Series, great. But like, no, we beat everybody in our league.
Yeah. Well, and like, I mean, if we're being frank, like, I'd rather beat the Dodgers than anybody else in the American League. Like that's, when the Giants and the Dodgers play in the playoffs, to me, that's the most important series of the year. I know that there's bigger trophies and bigger payouts for the World Series, but especially as somebody who's lived in the Bay and in LA and have friends on both sides of that battle, like that's where we are really, really passionate. We get into it, and I've said this before probably, but like the love-hate relationship with the Dodgers and the Giants for me is what makes it so good, right? Like I I can't imagine, and this is just me luckily, coming out the womb in Northern California, I guess, and becoming a Giants fan. But like, to me, like being able to go through, 100 some odd years of these battles between these two teams and reminiscing, and like, I'm a Giants fan for life, but like I would also be totally disappointed if I didn't have the Dodgers to hate. Like that rivalry drives my love for the Giants as much as anything else, because we're so close, right? Like, I mean, we all know people that are bouncing back and forth between the Bay and LA every week, every day. And I think that's very much like a lifestyle thing that not a lot of people get to. Like you get the Subway Series in New York, and you get like the Chicago, the Cubs White Sox battles. But like outside of that, like even down in Texas, the teams are spread out a little bit more. You don't have like that, like, they're not spread out necessarily in distance, but they're not as head to head longtime rivals. So for me, like I kind of view it through that lens of, you know, like Dexter said, a pennant's a pennant. Like we get to have that flag at the top of the pole in the outfield all season long because we won the pennant. Doesn't matter what we did after. But I totally understand it too. Like that's kind of where you would be able to poke and prod. Like in one hand, like yeah, like I want the bragging rights for the Giants, but if the Giants won, let's say somehow there was a Giants Dodgers World Series and the Giants won, I'd want to see people wearing the Dodgers with that World Series patch just so I could talk some shit.
Exactly. You got to have that villain, right?
Yeah.
No, I asked too because like I have a Niners hat with the patch from the last Super Bowl, and it's like, man, after getting your heart ripped out after they lost, it's like, man, that hat doesn't even go on my head anymore. It's like every time I look about it, it's like PTSD or something.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But what's wild about the loser and winner patch situation is, like you said, Keith, a lot of people are like really kind of specific, and they're kind of like, yo, like, why'd you make this one with that, yada yada. But nobody says that about the Giants patch. Like you rarely see a 1990 World Series patch when the A's got swept, right?
Yep.
I don't think I've ever seen one.
I've seen one or two, but it's rare. Like people don't really make that money, but they make this patch. This is everywhere. I have like 9 hats with this patch on there, multiple colors and everything. And this is perfect, right?
That's
And they lost.
so good, yeah.
But it's fucking perfect. It's perfect. And the 1990 patch is the same, font, World Series, little diagonal cursive writing and everything. It doesn't say Battle of Bear have the bridge on there, but this is by far my favorite patch. This is it.
Yep.
This is it right here. To me, that's perfection.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah. For me,
And
that
also,
one's
for you children out there, it's on the left side.
Yeah, good point. You got to point that out.
To which we think that means because this is what they wore. This is green underbill, white guts. This is how the hats were back in the day. Like this is what, if you went to buy a hat in Candlestick, this is what that hat would look like. It wouldn't have that patch on there. The jacket would have a patch, or you buy a pen with the patch, but this would be that hat. So we assume the reason why it's on the left side is because this is an authentic game worn-ish, as close as you can get to historic, accuracy. But if we're wrong, put it in the comments, please.
Yeah, let us know. Yeah, I mean that one's definitely one of my favorites, just because the family story, my grandparents being at the game, like my grandma had, I mean, unfortunately she passed a few weeks ago, but my dad still has the concrete from like section 53 up there in the outfield at Candlestick, because it literally crumbled right there next to, like literally like 5-6 seats down from them was where it split, and you could go back years later and the rails were shifted like a solid 4 or 5 inches, because what are you going to do? You've got this giant concrete stadium. You can't change that stuff. It was just like, hey, smooth over the concrete that broke apart, and open up the ticket stands again. Let's get the people back in here. But yeah, that was a wild time, and such a such an interesting kind of point about baseball, like the World Series stuff. Like to Keith's point, I don't want to wear like a 2002 World Series patch. Like that's heartache, man. Like that's like you know the era that the Giants should have won a title and just couldn't make it happen. And
It's a damn shame because Bonds was insane.
yeah,
He was
I mean,
nuts.
yeah,
He
Crazy.
had like what, a 500-foot home run.
Every single one of them.
yeah, seriously. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess to that extent, this is another good one for this conversation. This is the Tell It Goodbye patch, 1960 to 1999 for Candlestick Park.
That's
Um,
one of my favorites.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like I really, it sounds like I go to a lot of games, but honestly, like I go to like a couple every year, usually if I can. But I've been at like some of the craziest, or my family's been at some of the craziest, and you know, it's like that to me. The Tell It Goodbye patch. I went to the last. My dad is a huge Beatles fan, huge Beatles fan. I went to the last show, the last Paul McCartney show at Candlestick when they closed it down because it was like my dad had gotten tickets. I wasn't even living here at the time or living in California at the time, and I flew back home to go because it was like, oh, last show and it's Pops' favorite. Like I can't miss that. That was if you don't know, like the Beatles' last show as a group happened at Candlestick Park, 50 years back. So, or 40 years back. So I guess it is 50 years now, but um those kind of moments, like are super poignant to me. And like the Battle of the Bay hats, like all the paraphernalia from that, like I just this might be too much of a rabbit hole, but like both my grandpa and my grandmother passed within the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks now. And I've been going through pictures and going through, just dealing with that and processing that. And found a picture of me wearing a Battle of the Bay t-shirt, that my grandparents sent me because I was living in Oregon at the time. And, it was just it was so different because I was 10, but I was diehard watching the games, every game. And we were out in the yard, me and my brothers and my stepdad were out in the yard playing baseball. And I kept running in the house to check to see, we were in Oregon and you don't really think about it as a kid because you're just like, oh, it's not on, it's still commercials. I'm gonna go back out and play a little bit more, right? Get a couple more swings in. And I kept coming back in and like it was like almost always on commercials. So finally I like look it up and I'm like, oh, it's supposed to have started like 20 minutes ago. But
How'd you look it up?
like a actual TV guide, like out of the newspaper thing,
Exactly.
yeah, like no, yeah, we didn't have anything else. It was like it wasn't the TV guide. We didn't have the TV guide. That was too baller
Newspaper.
for us. But like like the paper ones that came in the paper that you pull out every Sunday and hold
Yeah.
for the week or whatever, 2 weeks, whatever it was. But yeah, like I mean that was one of those things where like to me, those moments, being able to tie something that I'm super passionate about and have the family ties and the friends and like conversations with you guys about it, like take away all the design factors of what a patch looks like. You got to find the ones that speak to you. That's it for me, right? Like if you made it to Yankee Stadium, the OG Yankee Stadium, if you went the first year that the new stadium was out and you're a Yankee fan, you got to get something to commemorate that, right? Like those are the ones where you're like, no, I'm going to go hard with this because I feel like to Dexter's point, like I've probably got at least 5 or 6 of the Tell It Goodbyes, and I've probably got at least, man, maybe 5 or 10 of the Battle of the Bays throughout the years, right? Because every time it pops up, it's like, well, should probably just get it. Like I always wear them, and can never have too many of them. So, but yeah, like a little bit of a rant there, but I think that, like to me, the most important thing is just having your personal connection to it, and that doesn't necessarily have to be a sports connection. Like you can have a team that you're casually a fan of, but then the story might come after you get the patch. Like Keith might end up in Pittsburgh one day, like, yo, check this out. Finally got to see PNC Park and like I'm wearing the hat, like those are experiences you never forget. I think that's the most important part about the whole journey for fitteds and how you live your life, in my opinion. But I sound like I'm preaching right now.
If I make it out there, I'll be wearing that hat and a Will Clark jersey.
Oh, wow.
Or a Bonds Pirates jersey. That'd be cool.
Okay. Yep. Even better. Even better.
Oh man. All right. Well, we're about at time. You got some new pickups to talk about?
I got one.
All right, let's do it.
This is from the exclusive fitteds Munchie Pack Part 2. One thing about this, and I will say this because we're on the side patch conversation, is I kind of don't like when the main logo mimics the side patch logo. On this one, I don't know, it doesn't bother me too much, but
because they're both insanely great logos.
Yeah, no, this one I could deal with. This is a Starbucks inspired Padres hat, and I love that green color. I got a Giants hat that has that same green color on it, and I don't know, it's just beautiful. I was trying for the other Padres one. It's the 1992 logo, and it has like the 92 All-Star Game patch on it, and this was kind of like a buy that I did because I couldn't get the other one. The other one sold out instantly, and I was kind of pissed off, and I'm like, oh, that one's still there, let me grab it. But I'm happy I did.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope.
You got something, Nick?
I got something. This is a little ASMR action for you.
I love how all your new pickups are still either in the bag or in the box. He does the unboxing new pickup.
Hey, one day I'll get to doing unboxings on the channel, but this is Hat Heaven Giants 80s logo with the 84 patch. Crazy enough, I was going to say earlier when you were talking about the Battle of the Bay, I've since about high school, I'll have to dig it out. I've had an 84 All-Star Game patch that I got. So for me, that's like mid 90s, right? So I bought the patch, and I was going to say it's interesting because the Battle of the Bay being on the left side makes me think about back in the day, you could buy patches, and when you would go to the games, you would see people, especially the old crazy dudes, with pins all over their hats or tons of patches sewn in. And so I can't remember how I got that, but I've had it and I've been saving it. And then at some point it was well, once I started seeing it pop up, I don't really need to put it on anything. I'm just going to hang on to it and have it as its own thing. But it's cool to see that evolution too of it's customizing before customizing was a thing, right? And you don't really think of it in that way, but back in the day, those commemorative patches, you to your point about you would go into Candlestick and you would find that green underbrim and your on-field hat at that moment in 89, but you could buy the patch to put on a jersey or a hat or a jacket for the Battle of the Bay. And it's kind of evolved into pins right now. Pins are the things that you go after separately and kind of collect alongside of fitteds, which is interesting. So, but yeah, that's my latest from Hat Heaven. Joe put me onto that one, shot me a text. So thankfully I was able to get it before it sold out. Thank you, Joe. I feel like Joe, you're going to hear me thanking Joe in almost every episode because I'm just appreciative of him. That's all I can say.
That's the assist master right there.
Yeah. Yep.
John Stockton.
Yep. You got any new pickups, Dexter?
Also, Hat Heaven.
Oh, nice. Yes.
2012 World Series, World Champions. So a little baby blue with the orange. Might be a kicks and fits for these coming soon. But yeah, not
nice
crazy over this logo, but This is why we won our championships with it. Yeah. So there we go.
Yeah, can't complain about that.
I feel like you don't see that logo, that side patch often either. I've only,
Nope.
seen that a handful of times. It's not one of like the mainstays as far as giant side patches. So that's cool. It's pretty unique.
Yeah. Do we want to do a kicks and fits before we get out of here?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. I'm gonna let Keith hop on and take over then.
All right. Today we have True Blue Jordan 3s. And Blue Jays. Just like the red hits from like the inside of the tongue and on the Jumpman right there. And plot twist. Snapback.
Ooh. All right.
I haven't pulled one out yet, so I figured I was like, man, we can't go with the fitteds all the time.
No.
You know, that's like something I would expect to see from John Ratner. You know, we got to get him on and have him talk about that because it's up there near Toronto. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't have my actual shoes with me, but you can imagine this hat that I'm wearing right here with some infrared 90s. I also got the orange, the total. What is it? The total orange? Is it total orange? I forget what orange it is. Air Max 90s. Kind of goes with both because it's kind of got both colors on it, which is a weird thing to say and think about. But I was wearing the infrareds today, so that's why I got this hat on. But yeah.
Next time you got to wear one of each shoe. You need the total orange on one foot and the infrared 90 on the other.
Yeah, there you go. Oh man, what do you got, Dexter?
So this Orioles hat right here, Gold Diggers, with the big 1960, what is that, 66 World Series logo with a little birdie on there, and Jordan 11 cap and gown, black with black.
All blacked out.
Yeah, that's good.
All black. There we go. Yep.
I approve of the large side patch too. Very nice.
Humongous side patch, yes. That's right.
All right, what else we got before we get out of here?
You got anything obscure for us, Dexter?
I do. You're going to have to cut away from me, though, Nick. Talk to the people. Give me 30 seconds.
All right. So, Dexter will be back. But I think if you have not, make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube. Join us in the Discord, Sneaker History Discord. It's kind of a combination of the shows that we're doing. So we've got Sneaker History podcast talking about kicks every week. We got some good interviews that just dropped and another one coming for that one. And then we've got Exhaust Notes, which is a Formula One podcast. But all of those kind of communities exist in the same place in the Discord, right? So there's a lot of crossover. So what I love about it is that you can learn a lot from all these different things. So like, you might not be into fitteds right now. You might not be into Formula One right now, but we're going to mix it up. And I'm going to start bringing out some hats from Formula One, which are going to be even more interesting. So we're going to get some creative connections between all of these things that don't seem like they're really connected. But I think we got Dexter back. So
have you seen the fitted channel in the Discord popping off though?
Yeah, it's been going good.
They've been going hard in there.
Yeah. All right, Dexter, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
So it's a regular black beanie, right? In case it gets real cold, right? So if you want to hit the slopes, or you can also, it's a ski mask.
Yes. There's the eyes.
There we go. So
there we go.
With the glasses. I love it.
That's right.
That is pretty obscure.
So in case you want to hit up 7-Eleven and, get you a couple dollars, or in case you want to hit the slopes.
2 for 1 special.
I've had this since like the 90s. This is an actual original ski mask. I know people like make custom fashion ski masks. This is not that. This is the real deal.
Yeah, that's dope. It's so funny because I don't even think about seeing that now. Like, I don't know. Can you even just buy like the regular ones anymore? I feel like.
No, they're all like high end.
Yeah, right. It's crazy.
Yeah. For anybody who out there who grew up in the 80s and 90s, you probably watch movies where people were robbing banks with these on. That was really a thing.
Yep. Absolutely. But in this case, just for future sponsors of the podcast, we only wear them to go skiing, snowboarding,
right.
those kind of things.
Nothing else is going down. No criminal activities in these. Gets cold out there sometimes, especially when you're at Candlestick, RIP.
Yeah, man, it's been freezing down there at the games lately. I haven't been, but like I had a couple friends that were down there that were like struggling the last couple of nights. So
that's why the attendance has been so low. They're like the game last night, there was nobody there.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it is, man. It's a famous Mark Twain quote, right? Like coldest winter ever, summer in San Francisco. It is no joke.
No joke at all.
It's like if you see it and it's like, oh, it's 65 during the day. That's going to be a nice day. And then like about 4:00, it's like 57. And then like the fog comes in. Wind chill is about 32. It's wet and foggy and damp. And you're just like, let me get me out of here. Let me get back to some like sunshine somewhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Seriously. It'll be 75 degrees in the daytime, and that's hot for San Francisco. But let it get 7:30. It'll go down to like 48 degrees. With wind chill factor, it was like it's freezing now.
Yep, totally. All right, guys. Well, that's a pretty fun episode. Side patch talk. We'll be back with another side patch conversation in the future for sure, because I've definitely got more to talk about. So I know these guys do too, but got to get out of here. We don't want to keep you too long. Thank you all for supporting us. Make sure you connect with these guys, and guys, let them know how they can find you outside of the podcast.
You can follow me at Keith the Sneak with 2 Ks on IG. Follow Crown and Stitch, and you can also find me in the Sneaker History Discord. Go ahead and join.
At Smooth as Eggs, also industry special podcast. Check it out. It's a podcast on all the streaming platforms. Hashtag Squatchy Gang, because this doesn't have one, so I had to put this one on.
Right on. I'm at Nick Engvall on all the platforms, at Sneaker History, at Crown and Stitch, at Exhaust Notes FM, and in the Discord, linked in the description below, wherever you're watching or listening to this. Thank you all for supporting us. We appreciate y'all. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.